Okay, well, good evening, everyone. Thank you for attending this meeting. My name is Jeff Lamalver. I'm the town engineer for the town of Manchester. This meeting is a public information meeting for the project to construct approximately 1,800 feet of shared use path on Hartford Road and Bidwell Street. At this meeting, I'm going to give you a brief presentation outlining the proposed preliminary design plans, schedule, and estimate, and give members of the public the opportunity to comment on the plans or ask questions about the project. Please note that the public comment period will remain open until February 9th. So if you know somebody who couldn't attend tonight, or if you happen to think of something after the meeting, you may contact us by email at pwinfo@manchesterct.gov or by phone at 860-647-3152. I'll have that information on the last slide of this presentation. I'm going to share my screen now and we can start the short presentation, and then we'll open up to questions after that. Everybody can see my screen?
Yep, I got it.
Great. So the Charter of Greenway is a 16-mile shared use trail running east to west from Hartford to Bolton. The majority of the Greenway is an off-road asphalt surface trail enjoyed by bicyclists, pedestrians, and other non-motorized uses. The Greenway is part of the larger East Coast Greenway route spanning 3,000 miles between Maine and Florida. Within Manchester, the Greenway not only offers a pleasant recreational opportunity, but it provides safe pedestrian and bicycle access to the many amenities within easy reach of the trail, including Case Mountain, Charter Oak Park, downtown, the Cheney Historic District, and many others. The purpose of the project is to close the only remaining gap between Forbes Street and Bolton. Currently, the off-road portion of the Greenway ends at the Manchester Community College access on Bidwell Street and picks up again on Hartford Road just east of a house drive. You can see the yellow dashed line on the map is the existing Greenway where it's off-road. The orange portion is the project limits where we are proposing to close the gap. Before we look at the proposed plan, I do want to mention we have received several comments, all in support of the project from individuals and different East Coast Greenway, Communitas, etc. It shows the importance of the Greenway not only to Manchester, but to the entire region. Now to the highlights of the plan. I'm starting on the west side of the project on Hartford Road, where the existing off-road trail ends near the car wash. We are proposing to construct the 10-foot wide path on the southern side of Hartford Road. In order to minimize the impact parking for the businesses along this stretch, we are proposing to locate the path along the property line and narrow the roadway from 32 feet wide to 28 feet wide to accommodate this. Curbing and pavement markings would be relocated accordingly. So essentially the back of the existing sidewalk would be approximately where the back of the existing shared use path would be making up the difference in the shoulder of the roadway. Here's a cross section of Hartford Road looking east toward Main Street that shows the 10-foot wide path, the 2.5-foot shelf on the road side, and a 3.5-foot shelf on the parking lot side. It also shows the 28-foot wide road marked with 11-foot lanes and 3-foot shoulder. The existing sidewalk on the north side of the road will remain untouched. As we move along the frontage of Dairy Queen, the Retail Plaza, and the Trattoria Toscana restaurant, the path continues along the property line to minimize impacts. However, there is opportunity to consolidate the existing 6 curb cuts along these 3 properties down to 4 that would not only minimize potential conflicts between vehicles and path users, but would also improve the efficiency of the parking layout within the plaza. I have spoken with the owners of the car wash and Dairy Queen, but still need to discuss this with the owners of the plaza and the restaurant. Wherever the driveways do end up, the part of the trail that crosses the driveways will have a colored stamped asphalt surface treatment to emphasize that it is a point of potential conflict. This would be something similar to like the crosswalks on Broad Street. Not necessarily the same color or texture, but that same treatment. The existing utility poles in this area will need to be relocated to accommodate the new path. As you can see from the picture, many of them look like they're in need of resetting anyway, as they are leaning. As we approach Bidwell Street, the path, moving further west, we're approaching the recent bridge construction of Hartford Road over Hop Brook. This bridge project was recently completed. We have some minor finish work to be done in the spring, but with the road open, and the project did include a 10-foot wide sidewalk and a 3-foot buffer on the south side of the bridge, because we knew this trail project was coming right after. So the bridge is all set for the trail. The slopes have been widened, so this part of the project, there'll be pretty limited disturbance. It would really only involve constructing the asphalt trail on the existing graded surface. Now, as we approach Bidwell Street, the path will turn to the east side of Bidwell Street. A sidewalk and crosswalk will connect to the existing sidewalks across the street, allowing access to the trail from the western sections of Hartford Road, Spencer Street, and beyond. Similar to Hartford Road, Bidwell Street will also be narrowed from 32 feet to 28 feet to make room for the path. It will include 11-foot lanes and 3-foot shoulder and a 3-foot shelf between the road and the trail. Under the I-384 bridges, the path will be constructed within the flatter shelf area, and there will be there won't be a need to retain the slope behind it. Finally, we are proposing a rectangular rapid flashing beacon at the crossing to meet the existing path at Manchester Community College. You may have seen a few around town already. We have a couple, one on Hartford Road at Elm Street, one at Spruce Street at Florence Street, and we have a couple others proposed for this year as well. These are signs with flashing LED lights, as you can see in the picture below, that are actuated by trail users. The proposed schedule includes completing the final design, environmental permitting, and rights-of-way acquisition between now and this fall. The only rights-of-way acquisition is a very small easement back at the corner, right here, at the corner of Hartford Road and Bidwell over Eversource property. Aside from that, like I said, all of the trail now in this likely advertising and bidding the project over the next winter, so that we'll be ready for next spring. The cost of the project is estimated at $835,000. The construction cost and the inspection cost are 100% state funded through a grant from the Department of Transportation under the Local Transportation Capital Improvement Program, otherwise known as LOTCIP. The town is responsible for the design. However, that's being done with town staff. I know that was a pretty quick run through of the project. It's a fairly simple project, but I do have the plans also here available. And at this point, I'd like to open it up to anyone who wishes to comment or ask questions. And it looks like we have a full house here. I think let me see if maybe the best thing would be for me to go through and ask if anybody has particular questions or comments. If you could just say yes or no. I'm gonna start with Donna Powell. No comment? Nope.
Actually, I did have a question.
Sure.
Hi, everyone. So could you just help us understand the process whereby it's a year, it takes another year for the advertising and bid step?
The advertising and bids don't take the year. What the plans that we showed you is what we call a preliminary design. We then submit this to CROG, the Capital Region Council of Governments, where they make comments on it. And then we proceed to final detailed drawings. We also have to go before the Planning and Zoning Commission for erosion and sediment control permit, environmental permitting. So all of that will take place this year into this fall. So the project technically won't be ready to advertise until later this fall.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Corinne Coleman?
I don't have a comment right now. Thank you, though.
Okay, thank you. How about Brian Chamberlain?
Thanks. No, nothing yet. I'm still soaking it in. Thank
Okay.
you.
As I mentioned, feel free, look at the plans after the meeting. If anybody has any questions, email us, phone us. If you happen to be an abutting property owner, we'd be happy to meet out there with you to go over it in more detail. How about Patrick?
Yeah, I imagine you must have looked at trying to route the trail behind the businesses there. Is the corridor between the highway and the back of the businesses just too narrow?
It is very narrow and very steep. Yes, we did look into that originally. Not to mention, the site of behind the buildings is not the greatest, but it would have required much more significant work with structures and retaining walls. The other thing is, we feel that having the trail go across Dairy Queen and a couple other, of these businesses is a positive as well.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Skyfra? Okay. How about RM?
I'm good, thanks.
Okay, thank you. Hugo? Hugo R?
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Mayor, you must have a comment or question.
I always have a comment. Well, thank you for your work, Mr. Lamal, as usual. I'm excited. I know my friend Bill O'Neill, I call him the real Governor Bill O'Neill of the trails in Connecticut, is excited to close this loop every chance we get. I do have concerns about Hartford Road, and I see DQ Dave is on, and we know he does very well in the summertime with traffic, but the good news is the bridge was done, and the bridge is done ahead of time. So I thank everyone that was involved with that. Yeah, I think it's a great idea. I just, we're always concerned about the safety once we get closer to the road. And I think with proper signage and lighting and getting those poles out of the way, I think it's an exciting project. And I know as the mayor, I like the price tag that what comes after it, which says 100% state funded. That's great for the local taxpayer. But I think just adds to our great parks and trail systems in the town of Manchester. And again, DQ Dave will keep an eye on the traffic for us, right? DQ Dave, I know he's on.
Yes, he will.
Thank you, Jeff.
Thank you. Yeah, you mentioned a good point about, you know, it is such a straight and flat section of Hartford Road that I think by narrowing it will, I think, eventually slow some people down, we're hoping. So, okay, moving on, Steve Sauce.
Good evening. I do agree that the trail path is much better on the roadside than behind our businesses. I appreciate the meeting walkthrough last week as well. Again, I just voiced the concern that we hope that the road construction is on a fast track schedule, especially on the business end of the road. After dealing with the bridge, which Mr. Mayor, I agree was done well ahead of time, but did have a significant impact on some of us. So I think it looks like a great project. I would much prefer where it is instead of behind the businesses, and hopefully get it done sooner than later. Thank you.
Great. Thank you very much. Barbara A. I know, Barbara, you did submit a letter or email to us as well. Thank you for that. How about Ashley?
Hi, yes. When they install the asphalt on the entrances of the businesses, will that affect the businesses? Like, will cars still be able to access the businesses when the asphalt is installed?
So the good news is it's asphalt and not concrete. So we're not talking about like a typical sidewalk where we have to wait 24, 36 hours for it to cure. There will be an impact while they, dig it out and actually pave it, but it should be very minimal, probably, an hour at the most. And the good news is there's so many other curb cuts within those, assuming we're talking about the, the plaza area between Dairy Queen and the restaurant. So we certainly would put in there that they can't close, maybe more than one or two of them at a time. So, but we, when it comes time, we do work with the business owners. We try to give you as much notice as possible when the actual driveways are going to be done. And like I said, it should be a very minimal impact.
Thank you. And is there a backup plan in case the owner of the plaza, which Victoria does not agree to the curb cut?
To the consolidation of the curb cuts?
Yes.
Yeah, I guess the backup plan would be to leave the curb cuts where they are now. That really would not impact the project. Like I said, the trail is going to go where it's going to go within the town right of way. We would like to talk to the owner, and I'm gonna reach out to them just to show what it would look like. Because again, I think we can kind of make the parking lot a little bit more efficient by having all the parking stalls go one way. Possibly even what I'm showing is a little bit more of a larger entrance right around the signs where the main sign for the plaza is. So, but to answer your question directly, the backup plan would be to kind of leave them where they are now.
Thank you. And my last question was any consideration taken? I guess I know you're saying that you're hoping that the bike trail will slow down traffic, but considering how many accidents are often on that road and with the sun glare, is there any, you think the bike trail will slow people down or the people flying in and out of the businesses?
If we we do an accident investigation. We do look at the road itself, and if there are other measures that need to be in place, additional signage, enforcement, things like that, we would do that as well. As far as the in and out of the parking lot, that as I said, one of the things we're looking at is a different treatment at the driveways for the trail. So if you're riding along, you'll know that it's a conflict point. I'm sure there'll be some signs involved in the final design as well. Watch for traffic, watch for crossing traffic, things like that. But we try to monitor it even after the trail's built. We do monitor it and go to a toolbox and pull something else out to try to solve it. So.
Thank you.
This is Barbara Modio. I cut myself off earlier. Can I say something?
Absolutely.
Okay, I just want, well, a couple of things. One thing, that there's a lot of data that shows that if you narrow the lane width, that the traffic will slow down. So that's a good thing that's going to be happening there. But the other thing is that the East Coast Greenway is in the process of developing a tourist guide for the East Coast Greenway from Providence to New Haven. And it includes a whole section that goes through Manchester. And there's a tour group that is coming through, a commercial tour group that is coming through in September. And I'm hoping, I put the Dairy Queen in the tour guide. So I be ready, because I think they're all going to be pulling their bikes in there, and the bikes don't take up as many parking spaces. So I think that this whole Manchester corridor will benefit from your bike trail connections. That's all. Thank you.
Thank you.
Barbara, this is Mayor Jay. Have them go through the drive-through on their bikes. That'll be great for DQ.
Well, that's what I thought. We could wash our bikes. Yeah. And the car wash, you mean?
You can do the car wash, but go through the Dairy Queen through the drive-through on the bikes. That'll be great. So.
Okay. All right. Thanks.
Sure. So, one other thing that my assistant reminded me of is another tool that we can use is, it's something we're going to start using next year on, I believe, Hillstown Road and Keeney Street as well. You've seen them, the Your Speed signs that tells you how fast you're going on the road, right under the speed limit sign. So that's another thing we can look at doing out here to mitigate the speed. All right, Louise Bacho? Any comments?
I'd mute myself. No, I'm just here with the Connecticut DOT. We have the adjoining project under 384, and just want to sit down on your presentation and listen to it. I think we're going to be going to construction at the same time you guys are, unfortunately, though.
Okay, that's correct. I forgot to mention that. So the Department of Transportation has a project. It's really off-road. Correct me if I'm wrong. It's the culverts underneath 384, correct?
Yeah, that's correct, Jeff. Yeah, and like I said, you're right. It's really, we're doing a minor rehabilitation to the culvert under 384. It's an invert lining. Most of the work we're doing are going to be access roads to get to the inlet and outlet of the culvert, which will be from Bidwell Street. So that'll probably be the most of the construction you'll see from us. Yeah.
Yeah, and we'll have to coordinate, obviously.
Correct. Yes.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Dairy Queen Dave.
I'm good.
All right, thank you. Kimberly? Okay, how about Tony?
Yes, hi, I've got a couple. I did hear you say the utility poles are being relocated. Is that to the grass strip on the north or the south side of Hartford Road?
It would be just relocated within the grass strip on the south side.
Okay. And I think your audio cut out when you were talking about the corner of Hartford Road and Bidwell. Is there a possibility of taking more of that corner off, or is that a utility right-of-way infringement?
It is a right-of-way infringement. So we would have to speak to Eversource about that. One of the reasons we kept it closer to the corner was to have that connectivity to the sidewalks further west on
Right.
Hartford Road and Spencer Street.
Right. Okay. And I'll just add my 2 cents that as a biker, the number of cutouts does make me nervous because people just are used to zipping out.
Yes.
But I think that's still a better alternative to having to cross the Hartford Road twice. And I think I counted 11 curb cuts and 2 streets on the other side of Hartford Road. So
yeah. Unfortunately, you're right. We're not in the middle of the woods here, so we have to make the best of what we can. But,
right. And not directly related to this, but to get to Hartford Road involves going through the Keeney Street, Wetherell and 384 East on-ramp intersection. And that is a nightmare trying to figure out what traffic has the right of way. And I'm wondering if at some point this is on your list or if it can be looked at with this project.
It actually is on our list, and it actually, we had submitted an application last year to DOT under the same program for a much larger project at that intersection. Mayor Moran's been asking us to do this for a long time. It is a bad intersection. We did receive preliminary approval. We're waiting to hear back for an official commitment to fund, but we do have a project kind of in line to reconstruct that whole intersection. And of course, the way the Greenway traverses through that will be a major part of that.
Right, because it does take a little bit of courage and creativity to get through that area. Okay, that's all I had. Thank you.
Thank you.
Courage and creativity, I like that. Yes, Mr. LaMava, I've been on his case for years about that. Whoever designed the exit ramps on both for coming off that highway there is, I don't know who did, but.
Okay, Keith?
Hey guys, thanks. So it sounds great. I like how it's going to go through the plaza there, give everybody a little bit of a stop. But I was wondering on Hartford Road, would it make sense probably to put a median in there to slow the traffic down? Kind of similar to what was done on Broad Street, like in front of AutoZone, maybe not that big. And if there's not enough room, maybe those long yellow kind of, obviously not in the cutouts, but the kind of sticks that's set up on the yellow lines, just to kind of slow everybody down.
Okay. Yeah, the median, there's definitely not enough room for that. I think Broad Street, was like a 40-foot wide, where we're talking 28. But certainly we can look at other things. I think you're talking about like the channelizing, reflective channelizers. Probably. Yeah,
or even like those rumble strip kind of things. That visual as you're driving down the street, you say, "Hey, there's stuff up there. I got to slow it down."
Yeah. And rumble strips are maybe a good idea for the driveway crossings as well.
Yeah.
So that might be an opportunity too.
Okay.
Thank you for that.
All right, thank you.
I believe, have I missed anybody? I believe I've gone through everyone. If not, is there anyone else who wishes to speak or comment?
Jeff, this is Tony again. I cringed when I heard the median because I am not happy biking Broad Street now with the median there. If I come out of the Center Springs Park access and try to cross Broad Street and head towards Center, that is not a fun interchange to make. I don't think the island or the median strip helped there at all. Just my 2 cents.
Okay. Yeah, like I said, we would not have enough room for median here anyway, but thank you for the comment. Okay. Well, if there's nobody else, as I mentioned, if you think of something after, or if you have any other questions, feel free to reach out to us. Let me just find that last slide for you.
Hey,
Right there,
Jeff, would
PW.
you, oh, sorry. Jeff
Go
and
ahead.
Scott, would you have time for a question related to another piece of the Greenway?
I certainly have time. I can, try to answer it.
Okay, do you want me to wait until the end or ask now?
Well, this is the end, I believe, so go ahead.
Okay. Okay, so you mentioned the special LED light, and I think you said it was activated by the person going by.
Yes.
Is that what is in effect at the intersection of Finley and Camp Meeting?
To be honest, I have not been out there in a long time. That
Oh,
was a state design project. John, do you remember?
Last time I was through there, because we've been working at home for a while, there was no additional other than signing out there. I think that's just over the town line.
yeah.
Uh,
Well,
I,
no, it's I'm pretty sure it's still Manchester. I mean, Finley Street's Manchester,
It's
but
right at.
Barbara might know this, but when you come down Finley and you end up on Camp Meeting Road, I know I'm used to not slowing down until I'm far enough into at the end of Finley to be able to look both ways before I pull out. And that where my car ends up stopping typically is way past where a rider would come. And, people that aren't familiar with that could definitely benefit from one of those LED things you're talking about, which I've never seen, but it sounded like a great idea.
Yeah, I have a picture of it right here, and can't really zoom in. But sorry, I'd be surprised if it's at that Finley, because these are more designed for like a mid-block crossing. They're not typically at an intersection. And what it is, it has the crosswalk sign and it's got the arrow just like all the other signs around town. But the addition is it's a LED light that goes back and forth like a beacon, that you push a button similar to like when you're crossing a road at a signal. You push a button and it activates that. And it's just another way of, warning the cars that somebody is crossing the road.
Yeah, the best example actually would be the one we just finished installing very recently on Middle Turnpike at the Cheney Trail crossing. That layout with the post and the signing, I don't think I have a current picture, but be very similar, almost exact to what we would be proposing at this location at the college.
Can I say something on the Finley Street?
Sure, of course.
There is no light there, and I agree. The stop bar is before the crosswalk, but most people are going to go up to Camp Meeting and take the turn. And it is a very tricky crossing because you have people turning onto Finley Street, coming off of Camp Meeting, heading west, and the cyclist crossing and heading east, they're coming on. But I agree, it's a tricky crossing and there is no light there. So the cyclists really need to stop. There's a stop sign there and take care and check all ways.
Yeah, we'll take a look at that spot again. I apologize. I was thinking of a spot much further east, but I got it called up on my screen as well. We do typically put the stop signs and stop bars prior to crosswalks and crossings. Fortunately, all of us as Connecticut drivers sometimes have bad habits of advancing all the way to the intersection, but we're trying to get people accustomed to stopping, looking, and then kind of creeping forward. It will take a little bit of education for the public, but it'd be good to re-review that location since you folks had mentioned it, just to make sure the signing's good and to make sure there's anything else we can do to kind of improve the visibility for the folks crossing the intersection on the trail. I know there's a bit of kind of open space there that's pretty vegetated and stuff, so I definitely would like to just revisit that, make sure we've got everything done that we can do. So thank you for the comment.
Patrick, your question, please.
Sure, go ahead, Patrick.
Is there any additional information or a change in status, excuse me, on the town and or state obtaining the right-of-way along the railroad from Fars over to the Colonial Drive trailhead?
That the last I have heard is that the DOT, the state is looking at acquiring that portion of the railroad. I have not heard anything new regarding that. I know it's a long process when you're dealing with railroads, but the ultimate goal would be to, once they do purchase that, to continue the trail up along to Colonial Road.
Thank you.
Anyone else? And if anybody had trouble with their mic, you could always use the chat as well.
Hello?
Yes.
Yes,
Go
hi,
ahead.
this is Bruce Samborski, Samborski, from 18 Markwood Lane in Manchester. I'm an avid walker and I'd like to ask a couple questions relative to the bike path. I know it fairly well, and I saw that the new bridge currently incorporates approximately 15 to 20 feet of additional side path that I would expect to be used for the bike path. And that's on the west, I believe the west side of Hartford Road. Is that correct?
That's correct. The slide I show here, it's a 13-foot side or buffer, or 3-foot buffer, 10-foot sidewalk, and it allows us, knowing ahead of that we were going to do this project, it allows us to build the and connect to it.
Great, and that was visually observed a couple of days ago. It was a great bridge that was reconstructed. My questions kind of focus on some of the businesses on the west side of Hartford Road, particularly Dairy Queen, as well as the car wash. I didn't have an opportunity to go online to view how the bike path is going to traipse through that area, but could you very briefly tell me what side of the road it's going to follow?
Sure, it is going to be on the south side in front of those businesses. It is going to be entirely within the town right of way, meaning where the back of the sidewalk is now will be the back of the trail. And we're doing that to minimize a bunch of parking impacts to the businesses. But we're able to do so, to be able to get the trail in, we have to narrow the road from 32 feet to 28 feet. So that's how.
Okay, I thank you for that, and my question kind of continues. It was kind of observed during the recent year because there were a lot of businesses that were closed, and there was very heavy business patronage at Dairy Queen. There was a lot of backups in that area, in particular Hartford Road, going westbound and taking a left-hand turn into the parking lot to address the drive-in area. And many times there were a lot of horns blowing over there because people were a little bit kind of getting tempered because of the large amount of traffic. That also happens during the summer. And I guess that my gut's telling me that how is all that traffic, and people backing up, they're essentially going to probably, I'm speculating here, but it's a logical speculation that they're going to back up directly on, that they're going to be, their car is going to be placed directly on the bike path, and people are going to be coming on their bikes at some speed. How is that going to be addressed?
So my optimistic answer is that everybody's going to ride their bike to Dairy Queen instead of driving once this is in. But in reality, you do bring up a good point. We worked with the owner of Dairy Queen this summer with this. It's a very popular business, especially in the summertime. It's like anywhere else. You can't block a sidewalk, so cars are going to have to allow bikers and walkers to continue through there. And it's a question of, monitoring it. We'll have our police enforcing it. I think we worked with the owner to get some cones out there and additional signs during those peak periods. But
Hey, Jeff.
Yes.
Just a point. Well, first of all, it was backed up because the bridge was closed, and secondly, when we do our peak of our day is when the sun goes down. So I don't think the bikers will be on the trail then. Just point of information. So usually about, if it's in the summer, it's 8 o'clock, and I don't think you got a lot of bikers at 8:30 at night on the trail. I don't think.
Yeah, good point.
Only the commuters coming home from work and wanting an ice cream cone.
And I do have one other not so much a question, but an awareness. And it's kind of a question. And who's going to be responsible to plow the snow on that bike path area? Is it going to be plowed? Because and the other question is in the area, and it's not really a big deal, but make you aware that the cars that are all wet are going to be going over the bike path, and during the winter, it's going to be icy on the bike path. And even even today, some of the water came off, as you probably know, comes off on the road and makes it a little slippery sometimes, especially when it's really cold out. But I just want to make you aware of that from a little more formal perspective, that is something that maybe needs to be looked at long term.
Okay, thank you. The one thing to remember, the Charter of Greenway being a multi-use path, right now there is no winter maintenance, meaning we don't plow the Charter of Greenway because of the, in winter it could be used for cross-country skiing and other uses. So, keeping that same, unless something changes with an ordinance or something like that, the path itself would probably likely not be maintained during the winter.
Okay, that's a thank you for that answer. Also, just and my last comment is that people leaving Dairy Queen, sometimes they're in a hurry. There's going to have to be some sort of a stop sign placed there on the exit, which is the exit directly adjacent to the car wash. People leave there pretty quickly, and there is a potential for some sort of interaction with bikers or walkers, because people tend not to be a little bit, careful, or they're a little careless.
Yeah, I think as I mentioned, once we get into detailed design, I think we are going to have some signs out there, not only for the vehicles, but even for the trail users, as you approach this section, just to kind of make people aware, to look out for the potential conflicts that you're going to get at this section where you don't get anywhere else on the trail.
I would also like to add, because this trail is going to be constructed brand new, we'll be most likely modifying some of those driveways and aprons and adjusting the grades to carry the path across at somewhat level approach, and so that hopefully will improve some of the drainage when you do get some of that snowfall and stuff dropping off the vehicles. That when it does melt, that hopefully we'll be able to get it to drain, off the path to the gutter line and send it where it needs to go. So, hopefully it'll be an improvement over the existing conditions when we're done. So that is the plan. Thanks.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Bruce. Anyone else? Last call. Question is, will the PowerPoint be available for viewing online? Yes, not only will the PowerPoint be, but we are recording this meeting. I'll make that available online as well. Thank you. All right. I want to thank you all for attending and for giving us some feedback. And like I said, we'll get this project into the state, get it reviewed, and move forward with it.